What's going on, guys? It's your host, Jackie Chism, back again with another episode of the Chism Sports Groove. Back again, gritty and witty as usual. Man, I'm so happy to be back, though, just to put it out there, guys. Season 2, I can't wait to get more into it, bro. We got so much to go over today that we gotta definitely get into it. So we're gonna start off with a little A block. We'll cover some quick news right quick. Definitely want to talk about Roger Goodell and Deshaun Watson. The case is still ongoing after Judge Sue Robinson issued a 6-game suspension for Deshaun Watson based on the predatory actions, the evidence that the NFL did show. The NFL turned around and was not happy, wanted to appeal it. They're looking for an indefinite suspension, probably a season long, as a minimum for them. But it's really questionable to me, to be honest with you. You went out of your way to make sure that a judge and somebody, additional independent arbiter, was able to look at the case and issue a ruling based on that you would be able to get behind. But it wasn't what you were looking for, so you still appealed it and you tossed the ball up to somebody else. Goodell, your motives are definitely showing right now. You work for the NFL, so there's no way in my mind that I think that this is not for the NFL at any point in time. So I'm just questionable on this. I think that the Texans, who paid out those settlements to begin with, the majority of those settlements, they had a hand in also wanting Deshaun Watson to pay for not wanting to be there and what he did as well. So, this is still an ongoing case. I definitely don't know what the hell is going to happen next, but I'm interested in keep watching. Next, I definitely want to talk about the Denver Broncos were for sale, and who else would buy it but a son of Sam Walton, an inheritance to the Walton family fortune. If you didn't know, they own Walmart, one of the richest families, if not the richest family in the world. So now Denver gets Russell Wilson and a new owner, so a new pot of money, and he's probably going to be the richest owner again, coming from the richest family. I can only imagine if I needed $20 from my brother, he would give it to me. That would be equivalent to them about $20 million, $200 million. They have money like that. So you don't know what you're going to expect now with new ownership, a new way of running the franchise. You got a new franchise quarterback. It's going to be exciting to see, especially in that division. It's already super tough with the Chargers, Raiders, and Chiefs. So they all do not like each other, and I just cannot wait to see them go at it this year and years to come. Hopefully Russ is going to be there, and with this new transition of ownership, they're hey, if they're going to spend, if they're coming in, usually they spend some money, so let's see what they do with it. Next, I definitely want to talk about Hard Knocks. Usually I would never talk about Hard Knocks out loud because it doesn't mean anything. And this year you got the Detroit Lions, who are potentially bottom team in the NFL again. They're usually at the bottom, but just the characters that they have this year makes it a really good show to watch. Dan Campbell is a legit ex-player. He knows what he wants out of his players, and he knows how to talk to them. I like that about a coach. They have so many. 8 ex-players. Antoine Randall, Deuce Staley, Kelvin Shepard. They have some guys there that know what they're doing, and I think it was somewhere around 80 years of playing experience between the coaching staff. I'm looking for Detroit to be a good team this year that really gives people a good runs for their money in their rebuilding process. So great time to be a Detroit Lions fan. I'm not, but hey, it's still a great show right now. Shout outs to y'all. Next, I definitely wanted to take some time to give a special thanks and special thoughts and prayers to the family of Bill Russell. He's man, was a great player, 11-time champion, one of the greatest champions that's ever lived. He was a coach as well, won a couple of championships coaching and playing at a time where, black people really were not allowed to coach, and especially in like a professional setting. He definitely did so much work for the black community as a civil rights activist back in the 70s, 60s, and 70s. And so you definitely love it. I mean, the news that all teams will retire number 6 is going to be well received for all NBA fans and all NBA family alike. So you gotta love to see a tribute to such an NBA great and such a world great as Bill Russell. We'll be sad to see him go. Wish I could have ever met him and talked to him for a few minutes at least. All right, guys, when I come back, we definitely going to jump right into Titans time. We had a game yesterday, so I can't wait to talk about it. All right, guys, when we return.
Hit that like and subscribe button, and we always love feedback, so leave a comment. Now, back to your regular scheduled program.
It's my favorite time, Titans time. This is me, Jackie Chism, lifelong Titans fan, goes over the week-to-week basis of the Titans and their regular season trip again this year, guys. I'm so excited. Can't wait to see this year. Man, we had a preseason game against the Ravens. They were on their 21st, looking for their 21st or 22nd win, consecutive in the preseason. We do not like the Ravens, so you would love to end that streak, but we got plenty of things that we need to work on. And again, it's still preseason, so it doesn't count against us that we did lose. But Titans came out, ended up losing that one, 10-23. We did have some great things though that we had to look for in that game. We had some bad things we look for. I went into this game with the expectation that we needed 3 things to look for in this game. We definitely needed to run the ball and win up front. Like as in protection, something we kind of struggle with. Malik Willis was running for his life. Woodside was getting hit a lot on the ground a lot in that game, something you do not like to see, especially when you're trying to get your backup offensive linemen together and gelled and get them reps and things. So I mean, that's something we still need to work on, is getting that offensive front together, so that way we're definitely running the ball, we're definitely controlling the line of scrimmage. It's big staples to Titans football. Next thing we were looking for was stopping the run, because we know what Tyler Huntley and Lamar Jackson and that Ravens team wants to do. They want to run the ball 40, 50 times a game. And use their play action, use the rollouts, things like that nature. So stopping the run early and often was definitely key for us. It's going to be key for us as well throughout the season. So watching those defensive linemen, the rotation of our defensive linemen, trying to get a stop up front was actually pretty nice to see. We actually ended up giving about 138 yards up, 1 touchdown on the ground, but for the most part, they were getting big stops throughout this game. 1-2 yard runs was the majority of this game, and you like to see that, especially with the heavy rotation of your defensive line. So next, we definitely wanted to look at turnovers and penalties. Like, how can we limit our turnovers and our penalties? So I think we ended up with 5 penalties in this game. There's still some things in the workout. We had an offsetting penalty on the first punt. We had a holding penalty, the pass interference, 2 false starts. I mean, just things that come with like more reps and getting it together. Things that we definitely wanted to work on. The turnovers with the fumble with Chestnut, you don't like to see that, but you definitely love the way he responded. Woodside, man, why is he in the NFL? I, I got nothing on my notes to tell me why this dude wasn't a good AAF quarterback. So multiple throws he had in that game were just terrible. So I mean, like, and that was the bane of our turnovers. We had a game that we probably could win, even with our fourth and fifth and sixth string, players down at the end of the game. People who probably will not make even the practice squad at the end of the day. But we're gonna go over some good for this game. Like, I was definitely happy to see it. Starting off first, I definitely want to talk about it. Music City Malik. Ooh, that's already. I'm gonna say that a million more times, so we might as well get ready to say it. Man, Music City Malik Willis, he was amazing. He was electric. I mean, came out first. That first throw, he missed to Tony Carter. He put a lot of mustard on it, and you can't really just throw that hard to a fullback and expect them to catch it, turn upfield. That's not something they do every day. I mean, but after that, he settled right on in. He was 6'11", 102 yards. He had 5 rushes, 38 yards, and a rushing touchdown. Man, that rushing touchdown was epic. He made Kyle Phillips taste dirt, and then once he cut back across, he had the strength to carry the guy in for a touchdown. You love to see it. The throw he had to Racy McMath was amazing. I think that's definitely something that we could grow on and work on. You hope he still keeps that this year for a red shirt, a quasi red shirt year almost. But I mean, I love what I'm seeing from him. And I already spoke his name up, but Racy McMath on that deep threat was amazing. He ran that post corner up ridiculously. Like the way the corner had to drop off because he just expected him on a go route. He did not sell that corner. I mean, it was a sight to see. And when I was looking at the notes too, it also shocked me that Racy McMath had 2 special teams tackles as well. One of the best tacklers on the team. I think he solidified himself as the special teams player first and foremost, and as a deep threat wide receiver. I would love to see more because that deep threat is going to open up so much for Derrick Henry. I can't even wait to see it, man. Definitely I think I talked about Julius Chestnut a little bit as well. I think he played amazing after that fumble. For a young player, undrafted, usually after you make your first mistake is a big mistake like fumbling and they score a touchdown. It's hard to come back from. But, he had the screen play that gave him some more confidence. He had busted a big run. And he runs really hard. He's a very hard running guy. I think that he's going to learn from that mistake and keep going, man. I think he's going to be a decent addition to our practice squad going forward. I think if anybody gets hurt in any capacity, I think he can step in and actually give us a good running back as well, a good hard-nosed running back. Also for the good, I definitely want to just jump right on into the defense as well. I think Rashad Weaver had a great game. That one TFL on the jet sweep, blowing up the tight end. I mean, that's something we definitely looking for, especially in the running game. From him, Oladeney was getting pressure, so I think that's great because those two are going to have to be good rotational pieces for us. I think that Bud Dupree and Harold Landry are not 80 snap guys, 90 snap guys. So you're going to have some depth that you can count on going forward. So seeing Rashad Weaver and Oladeney playing really well in this game, that's going to go a long way for us. So I'm glad to see that. I also think that Theo Jackson, he had a great game, 6 total tackles. He was there as the star safety back, cleaning up. There was a lot of missed tackles, but he was not one of them. So I mean, when you see a good safety that can sure hand tackle and wrap up, he flew to the ball. It's something you love to see, especially when you have a rookie that's going to be playing back in the depth chart. So you got a good guy there to train and work on. He's got some really good traits as well. I like Theo Jackson. Going back on to the bad side, we already talked about Woodside. man, he's not an NFL quarterback. Those 2 interceptions were some of the worst throws I've seen. I mean, throwing it late across the middle. I mean, the one he had throwing towards the end zone that was an interception. Traylon Burks ended up knocking it down. That should have been a 3rd interception. I mean, the guy just cannot play NFL level football. I understand he's cheap. Even what he makes about $75,000 after taxes. So I mean, but it's still not an excuse to have that suck of a player. I mean, he was not that good in the AAF. Moving on, I definitely think that Hassan Haskins did not have a good game running the ball. Catching the ball, he was actually really good, but running the ball 6 for 19. I mean, less than 3, just over 3 yards a carry. You're not getting nothing done with that. I mean, I will hope that, keep giving him more touches, more reps, more runs. He can see more holes. He can squeeze. He can, get in the hole a little bit skinnier, get out of it. Get 3 or 4, like end up getting 4 or 5 yards instead of the 1 and 2 and 3 yards. I want to blame everybody on the offensive line today, but I'm giving a huge thumbs down to Christian DeLauro. He was not good by any means. I've heard so many people talking him up, saying that he could possibly be the 9th, 8th, 9th offensive tackle, offensive lineman that we keep on the team, but I just don't think so. I think Jordan Roos and Nicholas Petit-Ferrero actually played really well, especially like the limited snaps that both of them have. Nicholas Petit-Ferrero being a rookie, and Jordan Roos not being an NFL player at this time, or not being a starter NFL or getting real NFL season reps. But I mean, DeLauro and the rest of them, just that looked bad. Like Malik Willis was running for his life, and Woodside's picking himself up off the ground the whole time. I also want to talk about the middle linebackers that played last night. They did not have a good game. It was not good. Jack Gibbons, Chance Campbell, and Joe Jones. Joe Jones deserved some of the most scrutiny from that game. There were some edges that he took that there's something like just ran straight into traffic. Campbell and Gibbons were doing the same thing as well. They could not help out. Could not help with the edge. They could not flow with the running game. Mike James on his touchdown, those 2 off tackle runs were just easy money, and you expect your middle linebackers to flow side to side, especially with the speed that those 3 guys have. I think Joe Jones may be the slower of the 3, but he's still strong. But it just did not show. They all had a terrible game last night. Also, staying with the linebackers, Justin Lawler is not an NFL player as well. He could not set the edge. Every time I looked up, he was on the ground. Somebody was running by him, or somebody else had to come help out. It was ridiculous. He had so many one-on-ones with the right tackle and just lost consistently. It was terrible to see. Man, but life does go on, though. It's still preseason, so we got a lot to work on. We got a lot to do next. Next for the Titans, though, we got joint practice with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. No Tom Brady. I wonder, will Julio be there? Will we get some reps back on Julio? But if you're a Titans fan, Julio don't practice. I definitely am excited to see our wide receivers and our DBs go up against their wide receivers and DBs. I definitely am excited to see how we fight in the trenches against another team consistently for a couple of practices as well, especially a team that's been to and won the Super Bowl and retained a lot of their talent, like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So that's going to be really good for us. It'll be a big practice for us. I definitely think that we got a long way to go before the season starts. We've definitely got a lot of work to do. We got a lot of growing to do as a team, especially on the back end of this roster. So I'm excited to see it, guys. All right, guys, when we come back, we're going to go right into Vegas, baby. So stay tuned.
Hit that like and subscribe button, and we always love feedback, so leave a comment. Now, back to your regular scheduled program.
Vegas, baby, Vegas!
What's going on, guys? We're back again with Vegas, baby. This segment where we go over some of the best lines and things to cover in the world of sports betting and fantasy football. Like, definitely love fantasy and betting right now. Like, I've grown more into it. So, like, I definitely want to kick off today by talking about some fantasy football, getting ready for the regular season. So, we're going to definitely start by talking about our top 5 of each position in our fantasy football. All right, so we're going to definitely jump right into our quarterbacks. And my number 1 quarterback is Lamar Jackson. Definitely Lamar Jackson. That offense goes where he goes. He's only going to throw it to like about 3 or 4 different receivers. The running game is based off of what he can do as well. He runs, he throws. He's going to probably put up the most combination yards than anybody else. Like, nobody's going to hit a certain like passing yard and rushing yard like Lamar Jackson. He's going to be a touchdown machine. He missed a lot of time last year. He's back. He's healthy. He's scary. I mean, I think that he's going to be great. All right, number 2, I got Josh Allen. Definitely. I think that offense is he's another player whose offense definitely runs through him. It's a high octane offense. I definitely am questionable about their running game. So I think that he's going to have to use his arm to bail them out a ton this season. Watch for Josh Allen to put up ridiculous numbers again. At number 3, I'm sad to see him slide down this far, but Pat Mahomes definitely is my number 3 quarterback. I think that the loss of Tyreek Hill, the loss of some of your more veteran receivers you're relying on, or Mecole Hardman to step up. We've seen what he's done in the past, but still got Travis Kelce. You still have Pat Mahomes. I still think he's going to put up a ridiculous number of yards this year. Look for him to go crazy as well. Next, I definitely love Kyler Murray. I think that he's going to go even further this year. He took a step up last year, but he's going to take another step up this year. He's been paid. He's happy. He's ready to go. The team's behind him. Everybody loves him. He's dedicated to what he does. I mean, I mean, especially when it comes to fantasy football, man, how can you not go with running quarterbacks? Somebody who's not going to take sacks, who's not going to fall down and just lose yards at the end of the day, who's going to pick up extra yards, going to get those first downs, who in tough situations can just get a rushing touchdown. I mean, Kyler Murray is definitely one of the top quarterbacks for fantasy football this year. He's going to put up a crap ton of numbers with his big arm and on the ground as well. Look for crazy things to happen. Last but not least, for number 5, I definitely wanted to put Aaron Rodgers there. I think that the 2-time back-to-back MVP is going to still put up a big yards, have great games. This is somebody else whose offense completely is going to run through them. I think they're going to have a little slow start with some of those rookie wide receivers that they have. Romeo Dubes, Christian Watson. I mean, they're gonna have to give them guys some time. Robert Tonyan's coming off of the ACL last year, missing all the last season. So I think that they're gonna have some tough time. They're gonna have some tough offensive starts, but they're gonna get it going. And Aaron Rodgers is gonna put up some likely MVP numbers as well. Next, I'll just jump right on into my running back ones. I think that this is probably the most beneficial position of all of fantasy football. If you got a great running back one, somebody who's going to go out there and get you, the yards, the touchdowns, week in, week out, especially when you need it, those are going to count the most. I think that definitely RB1 is one of the most important. QB, of course, is the most important position in football. I think it's one of the most important positions in fantasy football as well, but outside of that, you're going to definitely need RB1. Like, that can win And my number one is definitely the king, Derrick Henry. He led the league in rushing for 3 weeks after he was hurt. This man is ridiculous. I know that there's running backs coming up. He's getting age and nutrition and the miles that he's put on his body at this point, especially like back from high school, he led the league, he led the nation in rushing, set the rushing records. Heisman Trophy winner, got 1,000 touches at Alabama. And once he started getting, those hundreds of touches in the pros and at Tennessee Titans, he became, the king. But I still think he's got a few more years left on them tires. I think he's going to run rugshot over everybody. Even if he doesn't get the 35, 40 touches, the 30 to 35, 40 touches a game, he's still going to have that high level of productivity this year. I mean, who else is going to stop this man in the red zone? We are unstoppable with Derrick Henry in the red zone. He's going to put up a bunch of touchdowns. He's going to put up a bunch of numbers. He's going to break a bunch of runs. He's Derrick Henry. Number 2, I definitely like Jonathan Taylor. Now, he was probably the best running back last year only because Derrick was not there. But that does not take anything away from him. He's going to get a lot of attention this year. But that offensive line that the Colts got is going to be really well trained and ready to go as well. So I look for him to have a huge year this year. Next, I think that Aaron Jones is going to have a great year this year, mainly because, losing Devontae Adams, getting back Robert Tonyan, your tight end. I think that they're going to definitely have Aaron Jones on their play call early and often. So look for him to get a lot of touches, especially early off in games and later in games. I think he's a great receiving back. He definitely is a great mismatch on any linebacker. So I can only imagine what Matt LaFleur and that offense is going to try to scheme him up, especially without Devontae Adams. Next, I do like Dalvin Cook. That's my number 4 running back. Again, it's just the guy he goes, the Minnesota Vikings go with him. So I think that he's going to have a great 1,200 plus rushing year. He might put about 10 touchdowns. He's going to have a great year this year. So I mean, I look for Dalvin Cook to be a big contributor for somebody's fantasy football team this year as well. Last but not least, I gotta put him in there. I gotta put Christian McCaffrey at my number 5. I think that it's just his skill set, his speed, the way he catches out of the backfield, the way he can hit those home run balls as a running back or as a receiver. He's just something that if he can stay healthy, he's got to be a key focal point for that offense. Helping out Baker Mayfield or Sam Darnold is going to be key, and making those quick reads, those short throws, getting the ball out in space to Christian McCaffrey is going to help them, early in the season to matriculate. All right, I'll jump right on into my RB2s. I think that what I schedule as an RB2 is somebody I think that will not be one of the top 5 to 6, 7 running backs they're taking. They're going to be some of the second option running backs that are taken, especially if you're waiting until the 4th or 5th round, 6th round to get a running back. I think that these guys are going to be there, and I think they're going to be great to have. Starting off, my number 1 is Javonte Williams. I think that Russ and his play action game is amazing. So adding Russell Wilson to any offense is going to automatically help out your running back. Chris Carson, Marshawn Lynch, the list goes on. Rashard Penny, they've had some great running backs in Seattle, and with that running and with the way that Russell Wilson plays with his play action, he's able to escape the escapability and get out on the edge and make throws while on the run. I think that's going to help out Javonte Williams a huge amount this year. He's going to get a lot of touches, and I think he's going to deserve it too. Next, I know it's down there, but I think Nick Chubb is definitely one of the top 5 running backs in the league. But I just don't think that he's valued as one of the top 5 running backs in the league from a production and fantasy standpoint, because he does share carries with Kareem Hunt. Now, he definitely is still a productive running back, and I think that, Kareem Hunt, with his going through his troubles right now, I think he's really wanting out of Cleveland if he's not able to get like a decent deal, because he did take a pretty crappy deal, after his legal troubles happened, and the Browns were one of the only teams that stepped in and were able to give him something. But he's been a model citizen. He's not had any troubles, so pay the man. But if you're not going to pay the man, give Nick Chubb the ball more. Next, I think that Antonio Gibson is going to have a great year. I don't think that is a coincidence that I got Antonio Gibson here and he's going to play with Carson Wentz. Jonathan Taylor last year had a great year ascending into that starter role and being one of the best running backs in the league. But with Carson Wentz, I think that's going to happen. I think that any running back that works with Carson Wentz is, again, just like Russell Wilson, is going to have that escapability. He's going to have that attention on him and take that a lot of attention off of them. I think the attention is on Carson Wentz, though, for the wrong reason, if you ask me. Like, they're waiting on him to mess up, which I would. Next, my number 4 for RB2 is definitely David Montgomery. I think that he's going to be a huge focal point for the offense. I think that nobody's really paying attention to the Bears. He's good at one really big thing coming into the NFL, and I think that he's even gotten better at it, and that's breaking tackles. David Montgomery is one of the best at breaking tackles, getting extra 2, 3, 4 yards after like initial contact, and I think that that's going to go a long way for fantasy football this year. Last but not least, I don't know why, but I gotta put somebody else who's slacking off a couple of years, but is immensely talented. I think he's going to be a great player. He's going to come back and hit it really hard this year, and that's Saquon Barkley. I think that if he can stay healthy, he's going to have a bounce back year. You might see him being a top 5, talent-wise running back in this league again at some point. He is very talented. If they can give him a hole or a half a hole, I think that he's going to have a huge year this year. All right, jumping right into my wide receiver ones. Not two ones. I'm sorry, but definitely jump right on in that. Well, number 1, I got Cooper Kupp, the reigning triple threat king last year. He led the league in touchdowns, receptions, receiving yards. I think yards per catch too. But so I think that him and Matt Stafford have something crazy going on. He's so sneaky fast. He's so sneaky big. When you watch Cooper Kupp play, nobody thinks he's 6'2". Nobody. So, hey, keep killing it though. And number 2, I'm just going to keep with the chemistry, I think, as well. I'm going to keep Devontae Adams at my number 2 because I just think that him and Derek Carr, being college teammates, college roommates, being best men, being the godfather for children, of each other's children's. They are really best friends in real life, and they spend a lot of time in previous off seasons working out with each other, and it's gonna show up front, especially being who Devontae Adams is and being who Derek Carr is. Those are really good players, so I think that they're going to gel really fast together. Next, I definitely like Justin Jefferson. I gotta put Justin Jefferson at number 3. And I just gotta tell you who my number 4 is because I gotta justify it as well. I think Jamar Chase is my number 4, but I gotta put Justin Jefferson right above him. Only because I feel that Adam Thielen is on the back end of his career. Justin Jefferson is still ascending. I don't really think that Justin Jefferson really has much to share the ball with, in the passing game. Jamar Chase does have Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins. Those are very good wide receivers, so he will get less balls than thrown his way than a Justin Jefferson would. So I definitely but I do like those 2 guys. I think that 3 and 4, boom, boom. I think that those guys are definitely going to make a huge impact this year, especially for your fantasy football team. 5th and last but not least, I gotta put Stephon Diggs there. I had to put Diggs over Tyreek Hill. I really do believe that Diggs does win one-on-one coverages more often. There's no bracket coverages. There's no triple coverages. There's no, the deep threats that like Tyreek Hill has to go through. If Tyreek Hill gets 5 or 6, 7 balls thrown his way a game, he can make really haste do with those. But in a PPR league, I'm going to take Stephon Diggs, who's probably going to get 10 to 15 balls thrown his way every game. And he definitely wins a lot. So I think Stephon Diggs is definitely going to be my 5th guy. All right, jumping right on into my number 2, wide receiver 2. It's going to be the same thing as the running back 2s. I think that there's going to be like the later rounds, like the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th rounds picks. They're not going to be the first 5, 10 guys that come off the board, but they're going to be high contributors going through this year. And jumping right on in, I think that again, I'm big on chemistry. I'm really huge on chemistry when it comes to wide receivers and with their quarterbacks. And Hollywood Brown is definitely going to be that guy. I think that he's going to be that guy this year, especially since DeAndre Hopkins is going to be out for the first 6 games due to performance enhancing drugs. Got him hemmed up in something, but I think that the combination between Kyler Murray and Hollywood Brown, being that they're college roommates, they're best friends, they continuously stay in touch with each other, they're always talking. I think it's going to be great to see them together, to see that speed and that arm, like going back, like because if you've seen him play at Oklahoma, you see why Kyler won Heisman, and Hollywood definitely was his number 1 receiver. And again, I think that's just the only reason why I put Hollywood over Deebo Samuels, because Deebo is my number 2 guy. I'm not so sure that Deebo is going to last that long, but anybody who you can use at running back, you can use as essentially as a fantasy football flex. I think that they're going to be very valuable. There's going to be a big run on him in some leagues. There's some other leagues they're going to know that hey, some guys, he might get 5-10 touches running the ball, which means he's only going to get 4 or 5 catches. And it's like the targets are 5 targets, and they have some talent in San Francisco. They did not lose anything. They added a lot of good talent, I feel like, this year. And watch for Trey Lance to spread that ball around. So I really think that Deebo should be considered a wide receiver 2, especially since he plays the wide receiver 2 on his own team behind Brandon Ayuk. Next, I got Keenan Allen. I think that he's on the older side. I think he's about 33, but he's still balling out the gym. I mean, he's still going to get 100 catches. He's still going to put up a ridiculous amount of yards. He's still one of the best route runners in the game right now. Keenan Allen is a beast. I think that he definitely slides in people's minds, down into maybe not into the top 10, but he's always in the top 10 in production every year. So don't slip on Keenan Allen. Next, I want to talk about number 4 is Scary Terry McLaurin. No matter who throws him the ball, he still has great years. He's had non-NFL status quarterbacks throw at him the ball for the majority of his career, and he still got the bag because he's a producer. So now that he has Carson Wentz, I feel like even though I don't necessarily believe in Carson Wentz, I think that having that quarterback is going to be take him miles and miles beyond what we think of Terry McLaurin at this day. So shout out! I think he's going to do big things this year. And last but not least, definitely think that Jerry Jeudy is going to have a monster year this year. One reason Tim Patrick went down in practice, I think he's going to miss the rest of the season. So you're going to need KJ Hill to step up some of your back guy and depth pieces. But your top 3 guys are going to have to really go into this year. Calvin Ridley. Kyle Pitts is going to be the number one wide receiver. He's going to get a lot of mismatches. I know what Arthur Smith does with tight ends. He does really well with them game planning. So I can only wait to see what they can do with a supreme talent like Kyle Pitts. And last but not least, I think George Kittle definitely deserves to be on this list. At the end of the day, George Kittle is, still the best blocking tight end, one of the best receiving tight ends. He's just a beast of a man to get down on the ground, and everybody's going to have trouble with him all year, especially in that offense. So I think George Kittle's going to put up some really good numbers this year. Look for him to be a touchdown machine, though. All right, we're going to get right into our defenses and special teams, and I got the Bills number one. I think they were the number one defense last year. They got a really good kicker, so they're gonna have some tough times in their hand. You play Tyreek Hill and the Dolphins, you play Mac Jones and the Patriots this year, but hey, you gotta go through. You gotta go through to get through what you get to, right? Next, I got the Rams. I think that definitely with that that's Jalen Ramsey in the backfield and leading things. You got Aaron Donald up front, and you got Sebastian Joseph Day. You got Leonard Floyd. I mean, they still got some studs on their defense. I think they're still going to get after it. They're going to create a lot of turnovers and sacks, so I'm looking forward to see it. All right, third and fourth are going to be from the sorriest division. I always pick whoever's in the best teams in the worst divisions is going to have some of the best defensive games. I think that the Bucks number 3 and the Saints number 4 are going to have great games against the Carolina Panthers and the Atlanta Falcons. They just are not ready yet. Look forward to the Bucks and the Saints putting up some big numbers. If you can get them as like later on in the draft and they're still hanging around, those would be some great pickups to have. They're going to create a lot of turnovers this year, especially in their division. And fifth but not least, I definitely got to put my Tennessee Titans up there as the fifth defense. I always had them as my fifth defense because it just depends. Like some games against Houston, the Jacksonville, the defense comes through. They put up a couple of touchdowns. Last year, defense came through against the Colts, had a couple of interceptions. Elijah Molden had an interception return for a touchdown in that game. In the first game we played against the Colts last year. So, the Titans definitely look like they could have a top 5 defense. They look like they could be playing against the Jags and the Texans twice this year. So they're going to be a really good defense to keep, especially later in this year. All right, and last but not least, we're going to talk about the kickers. I think everybody should know the number one kicker in the NFL is definitely Justin Tucker. I'm have him number one. He's my number one kicker in fantasy. I think that you definitely get more points for the further kicks. And a 64-yarder, man, get you some good points this year. Looking forward to seeing Justin Tucker going back out there and killing it again. Evan McPherson, number 2. I think that he's going to be clutch. He's definitely going into his second year, looking to take another step forward. I hate to see some of the Titans rivals having such great kickers, but he's going to definitely put up some points this year. I think that number 3, I got Harrison Butker from the Chiefs. I think he's definitely going to, again, the Chiefs put up a lot of points, so look at him kick a lot of field goals, look at him kick a lot of extra points. All right, 4, I got Daniel Carlson. Yeah, he's just an accurate kicker. He doesn't miss much. He can kick from anywhere, everywhere. There's no weaknesses in his game, so I like kickers like that. Which leads me to my 5th kicker, which is Tyler Bass. I think that the Bills will put up a lot of points this year. So I just look for him to kick a lot of extra points, and they're getting to the red zone. With their lack of running game as well, look for them to kick a lot of easy chip shot field goals, which is great for kickers down here. All right, guys, when I come back, we're going to jump right into hot news, not news, so stay tuned.
Hit that like and subscribe button, and we always love feedback, so leave a comment. Now, back to your regular scheduled program.
What?
What's going on, guys? This is Hot News, Not News. This is a segment where we go over some of the latest topics in the day's world of sport, and we decide if it's hot news, we're going to talk about it a little bit more. If it's not news, we're going to keep it pushing, leave it where it's at. So we're going to jump right on into it, and we're going to start today with some training camp storylines. I definitely love training camp. I love the way it comes through because you just know. Like, you just never know what you're going to get from every different, situation, every different year. So, hey, training camp is on. Let's talk about it. All right, let's start with the Bills. Them adding James Cook, the younger brother of Dalvin Cook, with Devin Singletary and with Zach Moss is going to help that running game take it to the next level and help Josh Allen get to that next level as well. Not news. I think that this is a false statement. I think that they still got some issues up front. They added a couple of linemen that do not stay healthy. So I just don't see it. I don't see them, getting any better with the running game without adding an additional actual runner. Next topic. Definitely, the Titans and the Ravens are healthier heading into training camp, looking to stay healthy going through the season. I think that this is not news. Every team's healthy going into next season. These teams definitely hit some of the worst injury bugs of last year. Titans had a record 90 players that they played with last year. Every running back for a running team in the Ravens went down in training camp. You had Marcus Peters go down. At some point in the season, you had Marlon Humphreys go down. So it was just a tough sight to see. But I still don't think it's news because you never know what injury bug could pop up at any point in time. And these teams being healthy right now could mean nothing in a few weeks. All right, we'll jump right over to Pittsburgh. Mitchell Trubisky is getting majority of the number one snaps over first round rookie Kenny Pickett, and I think that this is definitely news. I think that Mitchell Trubisky is the type of player that you have to give him reps if he's going to play. He's got it because the way he played in Chicago was just so timid and scared, and you think that it had something to do with the shakiness of the coaching staff as well. And I think that giving him the number one snaps, letting him know the offense, letting him have that control to start with, giving Kenny Pickett time to work on his game, his craft, learning the offense, learning to call a play, learning the intricacies of the play, learning how to make sure everybody's lined up where they are. Some things that Mitchell Trubisky's already grasped and has actually succeeded in. Now you got to get him some confidence. So I like this story. I think that's good for Pittsburgh. Can't be no worse than what Ben Roethlisberger was last year, honestly. All right, let's go to Indianapolis, and we got a storyline that Matt Ryan is not the nicest guy. He's actually a jerk, but the jerk that they need to get over the hump. Do I think that this is a story? No. He wasn't a jerk that they needed to get over the hump in Atlanta. Why would he be the jerk that he needed to get over the hump in Indy? Carson Wentz was a straight dumbass. And he couldn't get him over the hump, so just being meaner can get you over the hump? I doubt it. Let's go. We'll go to LA now. We're going to talk about the Bolts themselves, the LA Chargers. And the LA Chargers, I think that it is news that they are ready with Justin Herbert and adding Khalil Mack, they are ready for a championship run this year. And a Super Bowl run, anything less is going to be a failure for them. And you got two of the best pass rushers in the game coming off of both edges. I mean, do you really need to even put them out there at the same time? That's how good they are. You got Justin Herbert, one of the best young quarterbacks in the game. Still Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Austin Eckler coming out of the backfield. They could add some help on the offensive line for him. I think that this team is Super Bowl bound or bust. So this is definitely this is definitely hot news. They definitely should be one of the biggest contenders this year. All right, next we're gonna go to Philly, in which the Eagles have added a few draft pieces. Had a lot of draft capital. Added AJ Brown, and now they think that they're able to take over Dallas this year. And I think that this is definitely still hot news because they weren't that far away from Dallas. To be honest, they were not that far away from Dallas. Dallas did lose a lot of good pieces. Sending Amari Cooper to the Browns, I think that was a stupid decision to make. Really not replacing him. You didn't replace it. You didn't, because I would have got something for him to help out with the defense, in which they did not. You're gonna only add like a second round, third round, fourth round picks to your defense. That's not really gonna help you that much. So I think that Philly has a great chance this year. They're gonna have a lot of people watching them this year. So keep it in the hot news. Philly trying to take over the NFC East. Next, I definitely want to hang out to Hollywood Brown in Arizona, and I think that that's going to be huge for them. I think that more offensive firepower for Arizona is going to put up more points. I think that's their only problem. You can ask your defense to get some stops, but football is all about scoring, right? So, hey, the more points you put up, the harder it is to keep up with them, right? So I like Arizona this year. I like their offense. I like the speed that they have put around Kyler Murray. So watch and see what he does from it. All right, last but not least, Jimmy G has been free to find a trade partner for him in the 49ers, for him from the 49ers. But I think that the bigger story with that is definitely Trey Lance, and that's steaming hot news because Jimmy G's been to a Super Bowl the last 3 years. He's been to 2 NFC Championship games. He's been a very good quarterback for them when healthy. But Trey Lance I just think that he's going to be the guy. I think that Jimmy G is a thing of the past. Trey Lance is the new starting quarterback. And a new era's begun. So we got some hot news on that. Man. All right, guys, that's it for hot news and not news. When we come back, I'm gonna go over my final thoughts for my final equation. I'm sorry, it's a new segment now. We got my final equation, and which I think I'm definitely can demonstrate how the NFL preseason is better than the MLB regular season. Stay tuned, guys. What's up, guys? This is my final equation. In my final equation, I want to show that the NFL preseason is greater than the MLB regular season. I definitely want to start off this by saying that I watched baseball for many years as growing up. I'm a great soccer fan. I love it. But the last few years, the big teams, the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Cardinals, the teams that people know, the Mets, are not good. The Mets are good this year, but they're not that good this year. So, that being like the big draws, the big teams that draw in, like big crowds over the years, that have the biggest fan bases, does dwindle down on the league itself. It does need to be think that so yeah, definitely that's hurting the MLB in itself. I think that the stars are helping out MLB, but just the college the stars are helping the NFL grow in the preseason to some of the extraordinary rate. You do not know who plays college baseball. Nobody really knows unless that's your you went to school, you're on the team, or you Saturday during the football season, and it's one of the biggest draws of all American sports. So when you see like a Heisman Trophy winner, or you see like a Malik Willis from the Titans who lit up Liberty last year, you see players that go through like Ezekiel Elliott in past years, Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson's, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, and Joe Burrow. I mean, you want to know what these guys do, and just like there's an intrigue for Summer League in the NBA, there's a huge intrigue for the NFL preseason. The only difference I would imagine is because that the preseason is right in the middle of training camp. The cuts happen right at the end of it, in the middle of it as well. So there's so much roster. The roster battles are so intense. The roster spots are nowhere close to being thought of or cooked up. There's so much turnover that could happen. The injuries that come through from playing, the amount of special rise above moments for young men in the NFL that getting their first snaps, even in just the preseason, just makes it more. And plus, like, there's more preseason highlights on SportsCenter than there are going to be of baseball tonight. So I just wanted to let y'all know that, like, there's no way, and anybody can hit me up in the comments and tell me why I'm wrong, but the Major League Baseball season does not come close to the preseason for football, let alone the regular season or the playoffs. So I just had to put that out there, guys. All right, guys. This is another episode of the Chism Sports Groove. Thanks again. I want to give a huge shout out to everybody who had a hand in putting this together. I got a huge shout out to you for watching right now. You know you are the MVP. So definitely stay tuned for the next episode. We'll be back shortly, guys. Until then, my name is Jackie Chism. Be good or be good at it. Peace.
Brought to you by the Chism Channel and TCC Productions.